Section 4 of Journal of the Reverend Francis Asbury, Volume 2. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Recording by Brian Keenan. Thursday, 15. We came to General Russell's, and on Friday to I. Smith's on the South Fork of Holstein River. Sunday, 18. Rode to a chapel near New River, where I preached on How Beautiful Upon the Mountains Are the Feet, etc. After eating a morsel, we hasted on our way to F's. A 20 miles ride through the mountains brought us to our lodgings for the night at K's, near the Flower Gap. Monday, 19. We rode about 50 miles to S's. The weather was warm in the extreme. We had rain, thunder, and lightning, and were weary enough. Tuesday, 20. After riding nearly 30 miles, we came to M. Knight's Chapel in North Carolina. Here I preached on Peter's denial of Christ. Thence we went to Hills. After meeting, we proceeded to the neat and well-improved town of Salem, making a journey, besides the labors of the day, of nearly 40 miles. I came to the quarterly meeting at C's, where I spoke feelingly and pointedly, and the word appeared to have effect. Thursday, 22. Preached at P's Chapel. We then rode to C's, about 7 miles from Guilford Courthouse, where we had a good time. Friday, 23. Was a damp, rainy day, and I was unwell with a slow fever and pain in my head. However, I rode to Smith's Chapel and preached, and thence to Brother Harrison's on Dan River and preached. In the space of 1 week we have ridden, through rough, mountainous tracts of country, about 300 miles. Brothers Poythress, Tunnel, and myself have had serious views of things, and mature counsels together. Sunday, 25. Preached and had a love feast and sacrament. I then rode to the widow Dix's. Many were waiting here, and the power of God was felt by some, whilst I enlarged on Isaiah 55, 1-3. Monday, 26. We had a good time at Martin's. Leaving this, on our way to Stamfield, we were obliged to swim our horses across Dan River, and losing our road, made it late before we arrived. Riding 30 miles brought us to Hammond's. Here we had a serious, feeling time, while I spoke on Isaiah 61. Thursday, 29. Reached E.T.'s about 2 o'clock, and gave a short discourse on Happy is he that hath the God of Jacob for his help. Thence to Pope's, to Hill's, to Long's, and to Jones's Chapel. On our way to the latter place we got out of our route when within a mile of the chapel, and did not reach it till 2 o'clock. Sunday, June 1. At Clayton's there are 100 blacks joined in society, and they appear to have real religion among them. Here Ethiopia doth stretch out her hand unto the Lord. I suppose there were not less than 1,000 souls at preaching. North Carolina, Monday, 2. Preached at Moore's in Northampton, once a poor, dead people, but now revived, and increased from 11 to 60 members. We had much of the power of God at Clark's. 60 members, among whom are some children, are the subjects of this work. I feel life among these people. Preaching and praying is not labor here. Their noise I heed not. I can bear it well when I know that God and Christ dwells in the hearts of the people. Thence I passed through Southampton, where I also beheld the power of God manifested in several lively meetings. Virginia. Rode to and rested with Philip Davis. On Saturday I had a feeling, living time on Psalm 85, 9, 10. Sunday, 8. We had a gracious season. It was a memorable day, and my soul was much blessed. After meeting, we hastened to Petersburg, where I preached on 2 Corinthians 5:20. Our elders and deacons met for conference. All things were brought on in love. The town folks were remarkably kind and attentive. The people of God in much love. The awful circumstance of B.C.'s losing his religion, and lately attempting to pull out R. Swift's eyes, may yet be sanctified to some, and explained by his conduct hereafter. Friday, 13. I preached a pastoral sermon under a large arbor near the borders of the town on 1 Timothy 4, 13 through 16, with considerable consolation. Ordained Henry Ogburn and John Baldwin deacons, and Edward Morris and Ira Ellis elders. Sunday, 15. I preached at the Manikin Town, then rode to Maxey's. Monday, 16. Rode about 50 miles to Brother A.G.'s in Buckingham County, and thence to Bedford Circuit. In our route we were compelled to ford the James River, not without danger. We were hospitably entertained. Wednesday, 18. At night I had some opening whilst I enforced, "Whosoever shall call upon the name of the Lord shall be saved." Heavy rains, bad roads, straying, bewildered in the woods. Through all these I worried to Murphy's. Great was the cross under which I spoke on the grace of God that bringeth salvation, etc. I had a high fever, and was otherwise distressed in body, and ill at ease in mind. I was afraid the medicine I had made use of would be injurious to me in consequence of my getting wet. Saturday, 28. I had considerable liberty, though unwell, at Ayres's new chapel. Sunday, 29. After preaching, I went to V.'s, and after trying, had to silence him. Oh, my God, what awful subjects come before me! Monday, 30. Crossed the high mountains, and came to H.'s in Greenbrier. Tuesday, July 1. I enlarged on Galatians 3:22. We then rode to McPherson's, a serious family on Sinking Creek, where I preached with some freedom. After crossing some considerable mountains, and preaching occasionally, on Friday we arrived at the Sweet Springs. Here I preached, and the people were very attentive. Saturday and Sunday, 5, 6. I had large congregations at Rehoboth. I preached with some satisfaction. Monday, 7. Our troubles began, it being the day we set out for Clarksburg. 30 miles brought us to W's on the great levels. Tuesday, 8. Reached M. Neal's on the little levels, where almost the whole settlement came together, with whom I found freedom on Matthew 11:28 through 30. Our brother Phoebus had to answer questions propounded to him until evening. Wednesday, 9. We rode to the Clover Lick, to a very remote and exposed house. Here we found good lodgings for the place. The former tenant had made a small estate by keeping cattle, horses, etc. on the range, which is fertile and extensive. Thursday, 10. We had to cross the Allegheny Mountain again at a bad passage. Our course lay over mountains and through valleys, and the mud and mire was such as might scarcely be expected in December. We came to an old forsaken habitation in Tiger's Valley. Here our horses grazed about while we boiled our meat. Midnight brought us up at Jones's after riding 40 or perhaps 50 miles. The old man, our host, was kind enough to wake us up at 4 o'clock in the morning. We journeyed on through devious, lonely wilds, where no food might be found, except what grew in the woods, or was carried with us. We met with 2 women who were going to see their friends, and to attend the quarterly meeting at Clarksburg. Near midnight we stopped at A's, who hissed his dogs at us. But the women were determined to get to quarterly meeting, so we went in. Our supper was tea. Brothers Phoebus and Cook took to the woods. Old Blank gave up his bed to the women. I lay along the floor on a few deerskins with the fleas. That night our poor horses got no corn, and next morning they had to swim across the Monongalia. After a 20 miles ride we came to Clarksburg, and man and beast were so outdone that it took us 10 hours to accomplish it. I lodged with Colonel Jackson. Our meeting was held in a long, close room belonging to the Baptists. Our use of the house, it seems, gave offense. There attended about 700 people, to whom I preached with freedom. and I believe the Lord's power reached the hearts of some. After administering the sacrament, I was well satisfied to take my leave. We rode 30 miles to Father Hayman's after 3 o'clock Sunday afternoon and made it nearly 11 before we came in. About midnight we went to rest, and rose at 5 o'clock next morning. My mind has been severely tried under the great fatigue endured both by myself and my horse. Oh, how glad should I be of a plain, clean plank to lie on, as preferable to most of the beds, and where the beds are in a bad state, the floors are worse. The gnats are almost as troublesome here as the mosquitoes in the lowlands of the seaboard. This country will require much work to make it tolerable. The people are, many of them, of the boldest cast of adventurers, and with some the decencies of civilized society are scarcely regarded, 2 instances of which I myself witnessed. The great landholders who are industrious will soon show the effects of the aristocracy of wealth, by lording it over their poorer neighbors, and by securing to themselves all the offices of profit or honor. On the one hand, savage warfare teaches them to be cruel, and on the other, the preaching of antinomians poisons them with error in doctrine. Good moralists they are not, and good Christians they cannot be, unless they are better taught. Tuesday, 15. I had a lifeless, disorderly people to hear me at Morgantown, to whom I preached on, I will hear what God the Lord will speak. It is matter of grief to behold the excesses, particularly in drinking, which abound here. I preached at a new chapel near Colonel Martin's, and felt much life, love, and power. Rode to the widow R.'s, and refreshed with a morsel to eat. Thence to M. Hardin's, where, though we had an earth floor, we had good beds and table entertainment. Friday, 18. Rode 40 miles to quarterly meeting at Doddridge's, where we had a melting season. Sunday, 20. From 12 o'clock today we rode 40 miles, my soul in sweet peace. Tuesday, 22. Our conference began at Uniontown. We felt great peace whilst together, and our counsels were marked by love and prudence. We had 7 members of conference and 5 probationers. I preached on 1 Peter 5:7, and Brother Watcoat gave us an excellent discourse on, O man of God, flee these things. Friday, 25. We concluded our conference. Saturday and Sunday, 26, 27. Attended quarterly meeting. Monday, 28. Came over the mountains along very bad roads. Brother Watcoat and myself were both sick. We stopped at Simpkins's and were comfortably entertained. Virginia, Tuesday, 29. Reached Barrett's, where we had a little rest and peace. We had left our horses at Old Town on the other side of the river, but I thought it best to have them brought over, and so it was. For that night there were 2 stolen. On Monday we rested. On Tuesday rode down to Capon, and on Wednesday visited Bath. I took lodgings at Brother Williams's, was well fixed, and found the waters to be of service to me. Sunday, August 10. Preached at Bath. I received heavy tidings from the college. Both our teachers have left, one for incompetency, and the other to pursue riches and honors. Had they cost us nothing, the mistake we made in employing them might be the less regretted. I have read 1 volume of Church History by Mosheim, containing an account of the state of ecclesiastical matters in Germany, and the different churches. Sunday, 17. I attempted to preach at Bath on the lame and the blind. The discourse was very lame, and it may be I left my hearers as I found them, blind. I am now closely engaged in reading, writing, and prayer. My soul enjoys much of God. We have great rains and are obliged to keep close house, but we have a little of almost everything to improve the mind. The languages, divinity, grammar, history, and belles lettres. My great desire is to improve in the best things. Sunday 24. Preached at Bath on Isaiah 63:1, with little liberty and poor attendance. But we have some stir among the poor people in the country. Friday 29. We left Bath, and on the Saturday and Sunday following attended a quarterly meeting. I felt enlargement on Peter's case, and also in the love feast. Monday, September 1. I enlarged with some freedom on the case of the man who brought the child to our Lord. Wednesday 3. Rode from I Heights to the Blue Ridge. The weather was warm, and so were the hearts of the people. Thursday 4. I preached at Leesburg, and was very warm, on Thou wilt arise and favor Zion, and the people appeared to be somewhat stirred up. Today I received a letter from Brother Tunnell, informing of the spreading of the work of God in West New River, and several parts of North Carolina. Glory be to God for his great and glorious power. Maryland, Wednesday 10. Our conference began in Baltimore. I chose not to preach while my mind was clogged by business with so many persons, and on so many subjects. Sunday 14. I felt considerably moved at our own church in the morning, and in the Dutch church in the afternoon. The Spirit of the Lord came among the people, and sinners cried aloud for mercy. Perhaps not less than 20 souls found the Lord from that time until the Tuesday following. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday were spent at Cokesbury in examining and arranging the temporal concerns of the college. Pennsylvania, Sunday 21. I preached with some satisfaction, morning and evening, in Philadelphia. On Monday, our conference began and held until Friday 26. Saturday 27, we left the city. New Jersey, Sunday 28. Preached with some assistance in Elizabethtown. New York, Monday 29. Rode to New York. Next day, Tuesday 30, our conference began, and continued until Saturday the 4th of October. New Jersey, Sunday and Monday, October 5, 6. My soul was uncommonly led out in prayer and preaching. I found it a very gracious season. My return brought me through Elizabethtown, Amboy, Hydestown, Crosswex, and Burlington. Delaware, Sunday 12. I was much depressed in spirit whilst in Philadelphia. I left there on Wednesday and preached at Chester, where I had some energy, and had openings at Wilmington and Duck Creek, where I also administered the word of life. Monday 20. Our meeting in Dover was attended with some power. At Milford we had liberty and love. At Johnstown I was very unwell, and was under the necessity of going to bed, but our friends were alive. God is with them of a truth. Preached at Shankland's. My soul enjoys great peace and love. On Sunday I was under bodily affliction, but I went to the courthouse and spoke a few words on, Ye will not come to me, that ye might have life. We have a house now building, and I hope something will be done here. Monday was remarkably warm weather, and I was ready to faint whilst I rode to the Sound. We reached Powell's about 3 o'clock. Wednesday 22. I was very alarming. Seldom, if ever, have I felt more moved. We came away and rode 25 miles, having nothing to eat from 8 o'clock in the morning till 6 at night. My body was weak, but my soul was kept in peace. Knowing the obligations I am under to pay money to several persons to whom the college is indebted, my mind is much exercised, and I feel very heavily the weight of such responsibility. The Lord opened the heart of __, and I thankfully received the kindness as from God and man. Maryland. Preached at Bowen's, and I trust the Lord was present, as also at the Lord's Supper. We then hasted to the widow Paramore's, about 19 miles. The people were moved, whilst I exhorted them to come boldly to the throne of grace. On Friday I met with an engaged people at Purnell's, and they appeared tender whilst I enlarged on "My grace is sufficient for thee." After meeting we rode to B's, 19 miles. Virginia, Saturday, November 1. Attended a quarterly meeting at Garretson Chapel. Oh, how changed! A preacher absent nearly 9 weeks from his circuit, failing to give proper notice of the quarterly meeting. Other persuasions are less supine, and their minister boldly preaches against the freedom of the slaves. Our brother Everett, with no less zeal and boldness, cries aloud for liberty, emancipation. Sunday, 2. Brother Watcoat preached, and I exhorted a little. My soul and body are deeply impressed. We rode 15 miles that evening and held meeting again. Monday, 3. Myself and the people were comforted at S's. We had a meeting in the evening. Wednesday, 5. I preached at the schoolhouse on Peter's denial of Christ. It was a time of refreshing. There were few present that did not feel the word. Spoke again in the evening at S's to a very unfeeling people. Friday, 7. Preached at the courthouse to many people with liberty. We have had heavy riding, dust, heat, and fevers. Our meeting at Downing's almost overcame us with heat and fatigue. Maryland. At Anna Essex quarterly meeting, I was at liberty on Revelations 3:20. Again I preached on "Fear not, little flock," etc. Most of our members in these parts have freed their slaves. Wednesday, 12. We had a precious season at the Line Chapel on Revelations 3:18. I counsel thee to buy of me gold tried in the fire, etc. After meeting, I rode to Broad Creek. We have traveled little less than 200 miles a week. Thursday, 13. At quarterly meeting, I preached on "Thy teachers shall not be removed into a corner." Friday, 14. My subject was, "Is my hand shortened at all that I cannot redeem, or have I no power to deliver?" There was some moving on the souls of the people. Rode 12 miles to L's, and preached at night on "Search the Scriptures." Delaware. After preaching at Northwest Fork, I rode 25 miles to quarterly meeting at E's. Here we had a good time. I preached at Johnson's, Todd's, and at the chapel. I feel myself weak, but the Lord is present. Friday, 21. I felt some power in speaking on Matthew 11:5-6 at Mr. K's. We came on to Hooper's, where we had a time of refreshing. Saturday and Sunday, 22, 23. Attended quarterly meeting at William Frazier's. There was some quickening among the people each day. We crossed Choptank to Bolingbroke. Death, death. The second day of our meeting, a great power went through the congregation, and a noble shout was heard among the people. I was much led out at the Bayside. At Dr. Allen's I was greatly comforted after a wet ride of 30 miles. I preached at Queenstown to a few people who appear to be far gone in forgetfulness of God. Maryland. I went to Kent Island and found about 250 people, among whom were some of the rich and great. We had a good meeting. I then returned to Queenstown and gave the citizens another rally. There were more to hear than before. Saturday, 29. I felt some power in preaching at Bordley's. We had a little move among the people at Choptank. My soul is kept in peace. In times past I have felt some disagreeable impressions on my mind about the college being burnt. Now I have heard of an attempt to do it. But I trust the Lord will encamp about the house. We had a very good meeting at Dover, although the weather was very cold. We had meeting again that night in town, I hope not in vain. Next day I rode to Dudley's Church, Queen Anne's, and thence to Chestertown and preached on let us have grace whereby we may serve God acceptably, with reverence and godly fear. End of section 4. Recording by Brian Keenan.